What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Apple Doc, your plug for anything and everything Apple. I'm your host, Brandon. I didn't leave it out this time. And like most of you, I'm staying home and staying safe. I'm on lockdown. I'm still rocking this hat because I can't get a haircut. But you guys aren't here to hear about what I don't have. No, you're here to hear about the iPad Pro 2020 review. And that I do have for you. So today we're going to dig into all the new features this pack. And we're also going to answer a very important question. What are you using an iPad for? Okay guys, first things first, build quality. Build quality on this thing is fantastic. It feels substantial, it feels premium. It's got a camera hump on the back, but not enough to cause any wobble on a table. And inside of this beautiful glass and metal sandwich is the Apple A12Z. Now, we're not gonna get too deep into the weeds with that because sometimes it just becomes a bunch of numbers and core processors and everything, but basically, you're getting access to about one more core, making your iPad this much faster, okay, than last year's. Heavy users, if you're really pushing this thing all day, emails, FaceTimes, streaming, but for the most part, it's gonna be very similar to your 2018 experience. And so for that, I have to say, yes, it is a good processor. I don't know if I'd make a decision based on that processor. However, a bigger change is the actual camera on the back. Yes, the ultra wide camera. Now, I'm gonna say something, I'm like, what are you talking about? I actually like the ultra wide lens. Yes, I've been giving you guys crap about it, but I actually like the lens. I don't like the functionality of it on an iPad. So, for example, remember that intro to this video? That was shot on the ultra wide lens using the iPad microphones. I think it looks and sounds pretty good. However, while I was doing it, to hold it and to get it so that I could get the back camera to look at me and it didn't make sense. It looked clumsy. And at that point I would ask, well, why wouldn't you just pull out your cell phone, which probably has a better camera? So yes, the ultra wide is actually really good. It's really dope. And actually, if you can get it set up and sitting, sure, use it. But I don't know a whole lot of people that use the iPad for a lot of photography. While we're back here looking at this camera, if you notice this here in the camera setup, there's two cameras, and then there's this little opaque kind of, I don't know what you call it. Apple calls it the LiDAR sensor. LiDAR sensor, also known as time of flight in some other areas, but we're gonna stick with LiDAR. LiDAR is light detecting and ranging. Basically, this camera measures a depth map of the world around it. What does all that mean? Because you'll hear, NASA uses it for a rover, and what it means is you can do some AR stuff with it. Basically, the measuring app inside of this thing, the dots when you click and then you move and scan across, they stay there a little bit better. You get a little more accurate measurement. Now, am I gonna go measure my entire house, things that are important? No, I'm not gonna trust it with this, but you can get pretty close. And I've actually done some measurements where I was basically the exact same thing, but for peace of mind, I use a tape measure. But for the most part, that LiDAR sensor helps. And I think it says more about the future of Apple with the LiDAR sensor, because I don't know how many people are really buying an iPad with the intent of doing a bunch of AR things. And I'm sure it opens up a lot of possibilities by having that inside of this machine. But I have to say, I think it means more about just another feature that's going to be on the iPhone. We're just going to have LiDAR sensors in our iPhones from now on because AR is the future and Apple wants to be ready for that. Now, another interesting topic was battery life. Now, I gotta be transparent. I haven't been able to go outside and take this to my local coffee shop and work on a bunch of emails and a bunch of back and forth. I really haven't been able to do that because I've been inside, so I've been able to use my MacBook. But I have streamed a couple of episodes of Westworld on here. I have done a few work emails, a few FaceTime calls, and didn't plug it in afterwards and just left it running. So it has very good, I can attribute, standby time. Just by streaming those movies, having a bunch of stuff running in the background, it handled it pretty well. And to be honest with you, I think those 10-hour battery claims are true. I've seen other reviewers who had it earlier when they were able to go out and they were getting 10 hours, and I've seen nothing to discredit what they were saying about that. Also, an interesting feature that was added this year was its ability to use trackpad or mouse support. Now, that experience was actually kind of good. It was actually kind of cool to see a cursor moving around your screen. I didn't really enjoy it as much though, because I found it a little clumsy to be using a mouse when I could just touch the screen. And I feel like the purpose of the iPad is to touch the screen, to move things around with my finger. I don't know if I really wanted a mouse, or in May when they bring out the Magic Keyboard. If I wanted all that, I feel like maybe I would move to a MacBook Air or a MacBook Pro. We'll talk more about that later. But it is there this year if you need it. For everything good I can say about the 2020 iPad Pro, I can pretty much say the same for the iPad Pro 2018, which is kind of the conundrum I'm in right now, because minus that camera and minus that sensor, you have virtually the same device with very similar speeds. So I don't know if I could recommend that somebody that has a 2018 go to a 2020. They're the same machine. I don't think that's even worth it. Now, let's say that you're, 4 years with the same iPad. Well, that suggests that you're not updating very regularly, and that means you should get the newest, boldest thing they have out right now, because you're likely to keep this longer. To have this conversation rationally, we need to talk about pricing. So this year, the iPad Pro 2020 starts at $799 for 128 gigabytes. Now that's a great improvement from the 2018 version where we got 64 gigabytes for $799. But now here's where it gets sticky. Let's say you're trying to make this a laptop, which Apple keeps marketing the Magic Keyboard, and it's floating and it has this laptop look to it. In order to make an iPad a laptop equivalent, you're gonna actually need to buy more than just the iPad. That's right, you're gonna need that Magic Keyboard, which starts at $299 so you can get the trackpad feel. You're also going to need to probably up the memory a little bit if you plan on doing that kind of work on it. So that makes it a 256 model, so now it's $899. With those two things combined before tax, you're looking at $1,198. Now, if you need that kind of power and you're putting in that kind of money into this machine, the MacBook Air, which is capable of doing all of those things, starts at $999. And it's also light, and it's also very portable. And if you're gonna be editing videos and kind of doing, kind of intensive, kind of hardcore work, the MacBook Pro 13-inch, which can do vastly more, starts at about $1,300. So you gotta ask yourself, why would you put this kind of money into this particular machine? I don't have an answer for that. I don't know who would actually use this. Maybe some artists who need the Apple Pencil. There's something to be said for that. But I think this iPad is for people who are looking for something still in between their phone and their laptop. It's a beautiful middle ground. Sometimes you don't want to whip out your laptop on an airplane. Sometimes you just want the iPad. Sometimes you just want to stream the movie, but you just want the screen just big enough so that you can enjoy it. And I think this fits all of those check boxes. And I also think that it makes a good work companion. You don't have to take your laptop into a business meeting. You can take this with you. You can return emails. You can get the Folio keyboard for about $100 cheaper and do the same exact things. And I think this makes that iPad a perfect tool for that kind of use case scenario. But making it a laptop replacement, nah bruh, I really don't see it quite yet. But hey, prove me wrong. Tell me in the comments where you think this actually would be a good idea to make this a laptop replacement. So if you like what you saw today, please comment, subscribe, and share. And until next time, keep washing your hands, keep staying inside. Thanks. See you later.